in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, September 2015. It was well attended, and well supported. After that program, we had a second summit last year in Bloemfontein, Central University of Technology, in Bloemfontein, South Africa, while the one in Ethiopia was under the auspices of Addis Ababa Institute of Technology. So because it's an African organization, we said, yes, we have moved to East Africa for the first summit. We have gone to Southern Africa for the second. We need to move elsewhere for the third. And that's how Nigeria was chosen as one of the big countries in West Africa to host the third summit. And I'm happy that so far, since Monday, we have had a very good program running. So we are here. We have had some difficulties in registering Aedc. We have had difficulties also in opening an account for Aedc. We have had difficulties in getting membership subscription. And the reason was that there was no constitution. And so from the last summit in 2016 till now, we said we must have Aedc constitution. And as I speak with you, we have been able, through the help of Professor Theo Andrews, unfortunate that he's not here. Like I explained earlier, he made frantic efforts to be here, but he had difficulties in getting visa. So he helped us to draft the constitution, and we have taken a look at the constitution at the ESCO level, and it's now time for us to look at it at the Aedc meeting, so that we'll critically examine it. If there are things that we don't like, we can remove. If there are things that are not there, we can add. There's no constitution that is perfectly okay or static. There are always opportunities to add and subtract. But at least it's necessary for us to have one, so that we'll have a framework for us to start our operations formally and officially. If you want to do a registration, then you will ask, where's your constitution? You want to do election, they will ask, where's your constitution? You want to open an account, they will ask, where's your constitution? So these are the things that we want to settle, even as we make the copies of the constitution available to us. So maybe the first thing we should have done is to even adopt the agenda. Sorry. Have we all gotten copies of the agenda? So let's formally adopt it. Sorry. Those who don't have copies, please give them.
Oh, yeah. Let her look at it seriously. No, it's a serious institution. Just
Yes, there's a hand up there. Okay, I thought you were raising a hand.
Thank you. I, Elkanah Oyetunji of Dean Faculty of Engineering, Lagos State University, move for the adoption of this agenda.
Okay. Well, let's just take this. All right, so so that we can move fast. All right.
Seconded.
All right. Okay, so can we get the copies of the Constitution circulated? Okay, so I don't know whether we can go and commander the other things from their meetings, because they are working on the communique and they are working on the MOU. Constitution is a serious matter. If not given this side, please do. Why not give to Boateng? Let's see how we can. Okay, please. Aha. Okay. They are bringing more copies. Right, yes. So maybe while we are looking at the Constitution, before we deliberate on it, we can go to other matters. Yes, the Professor Falade wants to speak.
Thank you. Well, Dr. Anshoya, our President, the Vice President and members, I want to welcome you to this meeting. From the opening remark of the President, certain things came out, which I believe we need to deliberate on and then borrow a leaf from what operates at the global level. The President talked about problem of opening an account and the problem of registration. I want to say that this, no doubt, will be a problem here. For us to register AEA, it took the intervention of God, and indeed, the association was registered in Cameroon before registering in Nigeria, and we leverage on the registration in Cameroon to get it registered in Nigeria. So I want to, even the name will definitely pose a problem at CAC, Council. They take it to any level. So I want to ask from Hans, how did you get GEDC registered? In Nigeria, this is likely to pose a very serious problem.
Sure. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Just as a historical piece, basically the GEDC does not exist as a separate legal entity. It is under the umbrella of IFES. And IFES, I received the registration working with the appropriate one particular state. You know, each society has its complexities, but I'm legally registered, IFES. And so the GEDC is under that. We prepare every year a financial accounting tax report to the government officials called the IRS, Internal Revenue Service of the United States, where we bring the accounting system is basically brought together between IFES and GEDC per se. And we obviously distinguish how we obtain the different incomes for IFES or for the GEDC, and there's one report given to the government. Under the bylaws that we have for both IFES, we have the president of IFES linked to the GEDC as being he or she is a member of the executive committee of GEDC. And the chair of the GEDC is an executive member of the IFES. And I serve in the capacity of both organizations directly responding to the chair and president of IFES and the GEDC. I think what's important to know is that, however, each organization has its own board of directors. Like Peter is our president. I'm sorry, we don't use the word president for GDC's chair. We have an executive committee which I serve and work with per se. They're independent, so they have their own strategic plan. And as you know, historically, what we have tried to do is co-locate our global meetings every other year together. Like last year, we co-located both IFES and GDC together in Korea. This year it's separate. IFES will meet in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, under IFES WEF, and the GDC in Canada. Next year, as I was explaining earlier, both will again come together. So what we have is a committee that coordinates, but each of the programs are developed separately with some opportunities for interaction. So I don't know if this helps or confuses or complex and so forth, but GEDC does not exist as a legal entity. It is IFES. It is under the umbrella, the GEDC under the umbrella of IFES. Is this helpful?
Well, I think that clears the air on this issue of registration, because the World Council, as far as this country is concerned, we may not be able to register. Does that mean that we can have it under AEA? How do we really place it? First of all, Aedc, by definition, comprises days of engineering and technology institution.
Let me just mention there are other examples globally. As you know, I used to be the global director for ASEE, the American Society for Engineering Education, and they have a board of directors, but within ASCE there is the Engineering Deans Council, EDC, and again it's under the legal umbrella of ASCE. So what we have in IFES GDC, a very similar, situation, but each has a separate board of directors. So for example, just brainstorming, one possibility, here in Nigeria, you as president, right, who lead the African Engineering Education Association, correct? Are you legally registered? Yes. So given that you are legally registered, again, I don't know Nigerian law. You'd have to consult with a lawyer. Could the AEDC be under the umbrella of the African Association or any other organization in Africa that is legally established, and you negotiate the leadership of both separate board structures, but legally the structure as ASCE in the United States, or in Canada, or in Australia, for example, or in Europe, CEFI, they formed in 2011, the European Deans Council, and is now under the legal umbrella of CEFI, the European Deans Council per se. But the important thing is that each has a governing structure that is separate. But you have one person, such as in my case, I lead and serve the elected leadership of both organizations. So in terms of Nigeria, one option you could is look at your organization to be that legal umbrella, or you could look at another organization in South Africa or in Kenya, or where our friend Henry is in Uganda, for example, or Malawi, that is legally registered, So you have a lot of options. You just need to consider that, Does this make sense? Do you have any questions about that? So these are just other practices, but I don't know the legal structure to guide you, obviously. I can only share the practices throughout the world.
What about the Constitution?
What we have is bylaws. We've developed our own bylaws, and if you look at both the IFES websites and the GDC websites, which most of you have, look at the bylaws that guide the operation of IFES, and under the GDC website, look under bylaws and rules for elections and et cetera, of the GDC. But they're separate bylaws.
So I think the implication is that we call this one a bylaw.
Right. We don't use it constitution. No. That's what that is our experience. Yeah. It's interesting when we conceptualize, just to share, the IFES and GDC bylaws. It was conceptualized by, I don't know if you remember Dr. Frank Huband, who used to be the first Secretary General per se. And I took his position, as you know, and he's retired, and et cetera, et cetera. But he not only was he an engineer, but he was also a lawyer. So we were very fortunate that his legal background and his passion and commitment, he wrote the bloody bylaws for both organizations.
Thank you.
Do we have comments from our members? Those who have not introduced themselves, can we quickly do that? That will be the last time, and let's know. I think about 3 or 4 have come in since we did our introductions. If you know you have not introduced yourself, quickly take the microphone and do so.
Yeah, good afternoon. I'm Mrs. Ndigwe. I'm not a member of your association, but I'm a parent. My son participated in the program of yesterday. His project was one of the projects that were displayed yesterday. That's why I'm here.
No, this is a meeting of deans of engineering.
Okay, sir.
Thank you, madam. I'm not sure I've had Adeoye Joe introducing himself.
I'm Dr. Aedc Ojo, Acting Dean, College of Engineering, Bells, University of Technology, Ota.
Yeah, no.
The President, sir. Okay, sir. I wanted to suggest that since we have GEDC, which is global, then we should have some arms, maybe GEDC Africa, just like AEDC, which is from that GEDC, as maybe part of it. But from the explanation that GEDC is not registered, it's under the platform of IFES, then this suggestion that AEEA then can be the umbrella for AEDC. I think that's a good arrangement to follow their own. Otherwise, we will have attached AEDC to GEDC, just like they can have Asian Engineering Days Council or Australia or other continents. But since they are not registered, then let's follow AEEA, just like they are doing for GEDC and IFES. That's my own suggestion, sir.
Where is Ayo?
Yeah, I was about to speak along the same line, and I feel if AEEA is registered and they have an account, this issue of account can be opening account, difficulty in opening account can be avoided if we go under the umbrella of AEEA. That's what I wanted to suggest before he spoke.
Okay. The dean from OAU.
actually wanted to, in the same line with the contribution. But what I have is that in registering with our corporate, this thing, would that be necessary? Because that is national. Now, you have the GEDC, and automatically you have the African, there are other regional bodies. Why the same authority that you use to establish GEDC can be used to establish AEDC, as far as I can see. But the other aspect of it is what brought us to this idea of constitution or bylaws.
Yes.
I think we have to be very careful. When you go to our corporate affairs, is this constitution thing that causes problem?
Okay.
I would just say what the issue of bylaws should be more appropriate.
Okay, the nomenclature.
Yes, should be more because there are existing bodies where we draw some form of authority from. And when we are drawing up these things, we have our own bylaws supporting that.
Is that right? Okay. Professor Fabarode, please.
Yeah. Sorry I came in late. I just want to give some guidance, provide the perspective of other such regional bodies. The AAU, for example, is the Association of African Universities. It's a regional body.
Yes.
It doesn't have to be registered in every country where there is membership. It only needs one registration at where you have the headquarters.
Okay.
So that I enjoy some of the benefits, such as diplomatic status, for example, in the country where they are operating. For instance, AAU is based in Ghana.
Okay.
And so AAU has a sort of diplomatic status, partial now, and at the last meeting about a month ago, we were requesting the president to upgrade it. And so AAU is only registered in Ghana as of now.
Okay.
But there is the national equivalent, which is like Committee of Vice Chancellors of Nigeria.
Okay.
And that is the one that is registered in Nigeria.
Okay.
We also have the Association of West African Universities. The headquarters is currently in Nigeria, and so in order to be able to have statutory organs like having back and cat and something, it will also be registered in Nigeria. Now, between AAU and CVC, what we have done to facilitate ease of membership, for instance, in paying membership fees and fund transfers, is to open a joint CVC AAU account so that members can do all their payments in Nigeria. But that account is operated on behalf of AAU.
Okay.
So I think it's nice to have this clear-cut distinction so that we don't have complications. AEDC is an African body.
It is.
It's not a Nigerian body. So it doesn't need to be registered in Nigeria unless that is where the headquarters is going to be. And it has to partner with the Nigerian equivalent, which I think should be CODET.
Okay.
So I think that's the sort of structure that you must have. You must have the regional body. If you want to have the sub-regional body, fine. And then the national bodies in, each of the countries. So I hope this will be adequate guidance. Thank you.
All right, let me also give us some information with respect to the Committee of Deans of Engineering and Technology for Nigeria, CODET. CODET is not registered with the Corporate Affairs Commission, but it has an account. It was able to do that through COREN. So COREN used its own authority as a fully functional, registered agency to help in the opening of account for CODET. So I think we have very good options, as Dr. Hans has told us. AEEA is a regional body also. It's an African body. So we can walk through AEEA just like IFES and GEDC. But if Corporate Affairs Commission feels like registering AEDC, we'll explore it. Otherwise, we just work under AEEA, and through the registration documents of AEEA, we can open an account, just like Coded did through Coren. And so, once we have our account, and I think everybody has agreed that we should change it from constitution to bylaws. You know, lawyers have a way of creating problems for you if you if you choose a wrong nomenclature. So we just use bylaws so that people will not take us to task. Okay, so I'm sure all of us have gotten copies. Everybody has gotten copies. So let's quickly go through the Constitution. Sorry, the bylaws. Let's quickly change the title. Cancel that Constitution and just leave the bylaws. At the formation of AEDC, at the inauguration, it was decided that the Secretariat should be in Nigeria. If there is any objection, let us know. When it was formed in 2013, it was agreed that Secretariat should be in Nigeria. But if we have contrary opinions, we should so say, so that we can examine our opinions and come to a decision. So let's browse through. Like I always say, I say Constitution is not what we just do in 2 or 3 minutes. So while we're going through the Constitution, I'll come back to it in about 10 minutes to allow us go through. I'm happy with this progress so that we can really open an account and begin to have funding. If I tell you what we had to do to execute this particular summit, since we had no account, there was zero fund, no money from anywhere. So the LOC will have to be drawing from our personal pockets to prosecute this summit. But I'm sure that once we have our account, we'll be able to overcome that. So let's move to agenda number 4 while the the bylaws, people are just going through it. We have moved from East Africa to Southern Africa to West Africa. And ordinarily, we should move to either North Africa or Central Africa. And because of that need to move to another region of Africa, myself and the chairman of LOC, Professor Christian Bolu, we attended a major conference that took place in Morocco in April. It was the Industrial Engineering and Organizations Management and Operations Management, Industrial Engineering and Operations Management. And while we were there, it was a 3 days conference. We had meetings with many deans from Morocco, deans from Rabat, deans from Casablanca, and deans from Ifrane in Morocco. And we even traveled to different cities. And we were told of the oldest and biggest University of Engineering in Morocco. which is the King Mohammed V University in Rabat. So we had meetings with the dean, Professor Abidi, Mule Abidi, and we discussed with him our intention or our desire that the next AEDC summit should come to the north of Africa, and we see Morocco as a country that can host that 4th edition. He was very, very pleased and told us that he will quickly work with his president, that is the Vice Chancellor, to discuss it and see how it can be hosted in Morocco. But he requested for documentation from GEDC. Now, since we say there is a parent body of GEDC should send documentation to him. For right there and then, I even gave him a copy of the Paris Declaration of 2008. It was that declaration that led to the formation of GEDC. So I communicated with our leaders at GEDC concerning the desire of our dean in Morocco, and they responded. So we encouraged him to come to this summit so that we can firm up that decision. But unfortunately, he said he could not come because he was going through a transition of his first term to a second term. And I needed to be sure where he is. So he could not join us. Then we met a dean from Sudan. Sudan is in Central Africa. Professor Musa Tagwa is the dean of the University of Petroleum Resources in Sudan. Very good meetings with her. And we also invited her to this summit and discussed with her on several options. Again, she said she was going to come, and we offered her some support in terms of transportation so that she can come. But just a day to the beginning of the summit, she wrote that she has submitted her passport, her ordinary passport for Hajj. And the other passport she has is a diplomatic passport. And that will take a long process to go through in visa processing. So, again, she couldn't join us. But we were here on Monday when the African Union chairman, through the minister that represented him, offered that Guinea, which is a francophone African country, would like to host the 4th edition of the summit, which is 2018 edition. And I told them that we'll table it at our general meeting. In fact, that evening of Monday, we had to hold another meeting with him and the ambassador to really explore with them and for them to know what it takes to host the AEDC summit and for them to know where we are coming from. That has been hosted in Addis Ababa in South Africa, and now we are in Nigeria. So we spent some good time to discuss it, and they told us what we need to do from our own AEDC end. So it's important for us now to take a decision so that we can know what to do in moving forward. So I'm throwing the floor open for our comments. No, we're coming back to the bylaw. So let's take time to just browse through. We're talking of the next host. Want to speak? Okay. Yeah, give to the dean from Nsukka.
Yeah, from your briefing, we note that we have 3 countries, possibly Morocco, Sudan, and Guinea. Okay. Morocco showed interest from what you said, and so did Sudan, but unfortunately, none of them was represented at this meeting. We have a firm commitment already made by the representative of the chairman of the African Union, who happens to be a very high minister in the government. So for this reason, I am suggesting that since that commitment has been made, let's go for Guinea, because we don't want a situation where we will select a country that is not well represented here, and later on we start hearing stories. And that will enter into difficulty of now choosing a country that will host it. So this is my suggestion.
Thank you very much, sir. Well, I'd like to also speak in the same vein, and my argument is there is likelihood that by the time the next summit will be taking place, the President Conde may still be the chairman of AU. If the summit is holding in his country, for me, I want to believe that that's like an automatic, his presence is guaranteed.
Of course.
So it will also help to champion the agenda of this summit if he's present and if the summit is taking place in his country. So maybe after the next summit, we can then think of either Morocco or Sudan. So I also want to support. If the summit is taking place in his country, it will be able to also help the council to champion all the issues that we are flashing out in this summit.
Okay. I thought Dr. Joe was raising his hand. Okay.
Well, since we are speaking, thank you. It would appear that we are speaking with one voice here, and I was going to suggest that the President should put it to a motion to be adopted.
No, somebody should move the motion.
I thought I was going to suggest that the VC from Nsuka has...
No, but after discussing now, somebody can move the motion. So the floor is before you, sir.
The originator of the idea should be the mover of the motion. I don't mind supporting it. With your permission, Mr. President, I move for the adoption of the proposal that Guinea should be the next venue for the meeting of the AEDC summit.
Thank you very much. I will want Henry. Let it not be a Nigerian affair. No, let him speak. Please bring the microphone to Professor. Okay, sorry, there's another microphone here.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I would like to second that idea. You know, it came at a high level that the government of Guinea offered to host the next event. So it would be very unfair for us to not to offer, not to honor that request. So mine is to support that motion that we have Guinea as the next host of the event.
Approved? Okay.
Is it anticipatory approval for Morocco for the next one, and then work on trying to get them to facilitate.
No, we cannot give anticipatory approval, sir,
Okay.
because we need firm commitment. For Covenant to get the right to host, they made a presentation to us in South Africa.
Okay.
They made a presentation to us in South Africa of their facilities. These were the questions we put to the ambassador and the minister when we had meetings with them in the evening.
Yeah.
So I think we should try to mobilize those people in Morocco to attend the meeting in Ghana for them to give expression of their interest to host it.
Okay. Please, let's be ready, up and doing, because when we are to visit Guinea, we can call on any of us. We can call on any of us for that visit. Because the minister has said we need to come to Guinea. You know, so, sir?
The trip to
Guinea will sponsor it, for goodness sake. We're talking of AU chairman. No, don't worry.
I want, Mr. President, I wanted to just suggest, you've obviously made an important decision. I congratulate you. I also want to suggest, as your friend, who will continue to support you, obviously, to deeply support our friends in Guinea. This is a complex opportunity and challenge to put a conference together. And the more that you can interact with them and to support them, through not only emails, but actual visits, and to work with the key people here who will do the actual implementation, the hands-on, like our good friend Christian here at Covenant and his team, and of course Obiazi, is really critical. I also want to ask, in following up on my earlier comment today, I want to see every dean here today, and it's my privilege and honor to meet many of you for the first time, to join us also in Niagara Falls for the GDC meeting, because you can continue the discussions and ask that you reach out to the Moroccan and the Guinea deans. I don't know a single Guinea dean personally. I know one in Morocco, to invite them to become engaged with you, not only in Africa, but outside of Africa, because we've got a first-rate opportunity to dialogue, to learn together and to share our experiences. I just want to make that strong recommendation that you reach out to them to join us now in 3 months in Canada.
Okay, so please, what Dr. Hans is saying is that we need to identify champions who will drive the planning and the execution of the summit. What the LOC did for us for this summit, I can't describe it. They came by divine choices, that we have a crack team of 7 deans from 7 different universities. And they've been working tirelessly. Sometimes we meet for 3 days. Sometimes we close our meetings by 11 p.m. and we'll start another one by 6 a.m. It was as tough as that. To get Obasanjo here, well, it's not just a main thing that you see somebody of his type just coming here. We have gone to his house on different occasions. So we really need to get people in Guinea who can drive this agenda to host the summit. And we will start it very early. We don't need to give time. So maybe after even before the October Canada meeting, We'll exchange correspondences with the ambassador. Let's arrange a visit to Guinea. Identify persons who can be champions to drive it. The president is keen to host it, but we need persons on ground who can work in making it a success. Okay, so now that we have settled that, let's go back to our constitution. We have been reminded that we must tie up this meeting in the next 20 minutes so that we can have our Aedc workshop. Okay, name and registered office of the Aedc. Okay. There's a suggestion we should remove the word registered. I said name and office. Is that okay with us? Since we're having problems with registration. Okay, 1.1, is that okay?
Remove registered.
Once we remove registered, are we okay with the rest part? 1.2, is it okay? Okay. 1.3, if we remove the registered. Is that okay? Okay. All right, let's go to...
So the 1.0 is name and office. So 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, none of them is answering the question office.
1.3 office is there now. The office for Aedc is determined by the executive board.
Okay. I was thinking you are referring to where the headquarters we...
It's determined by the board. Okay. 2, mission of Aedc. 2.1, is it okay? 2.2. All right, if there's no objection, then objectives of Aedc: to provide a platform for members to share information regarding best practices, challenges, and experiences in engineering education leadership, enable members to forge partnership in engineering pedagogy, development, and research, to advance the frontiers of engineering education and practice through promoting strong and effective industry-academia collaboration and partnership, to advocate the advancement of professional accreditation standards for engineering programs. Are we okay with those 6 objectives? Okay. All right, somebody is raising a hand.
Mr. President, I
was saying they're okay.
All right.
Okay.
Somebody says okay, but let's hear.
No. My own is a general suggestion that maybe the 20 minutes or 10 minutes that we're going to use on this will be very short. So why can't we go home with them and then email you?
We have done that. I sent this thing online, but people don't read some of these things.
Okay. It's all right.
I sent it online. Okay, so let's go through. Let's go through. Eligibility for membership application and is this selection or election? Okay, selection.
The footnote, change constitution to bylaw. Then what is version 02?
Please, all those things at the bottom, let's remove them. Whether page 1 or 4 or Aedc version 02, they are not part of it. Okay, let's go to 4.1, 4.2, 4.3, 4.4, 4.5.
4.3, remove constitution, leave bylaws.
Yes, they say constitution should be changed to bylaws. Just cancel our constitution from 4.3. There's a hand, please, the dean from IFE.
Yes. Sorry to take you back a little.
All right.
2.2.
Okay.
The last line there, the word global, I think is misplaced. On that line, and creative engineers that solve global challenges in Africa. I don't know, I think they should remove the word global.
Why? Global challenges. We have what we call 14 grand.
There are what are called grand challenges or global challenges.
Yeah, that don't exist in other places. You don't say it is global. I think we will put contemporary challenges, or actually you already said in Africa. So I think the word global is misplaced.
No, the global challenge in Ota. We have global challenges in Nigeria. We have global challenges in every community. There are challenges, but they are global in nature, but you solve them locally.
I think maybe you look at the word.
Maybe local problem.
Yes, African problems.
You don't want global.
I think, yes, you already said in Africa. Okay. There are contemporary problems like drought and all those things. Those are things that they are not global. They can be in Canada.
No, there is a document that identifies some challenges as global. And exists across virtually all communities in the world.
Okay, maybe we use contemporary challenges in Africa. In Africa, contemporary challenges in Africa.
But let's have a common ground. What are we saying? That solve.
Okay, maybe we say global challenges, and we remove in Africa, because we are talking about making our engineers global competitive. So maybe
we remove in Africa.
Yes.
And say that solve global challenges.
Yes.
Okay. All right, let's move on. We're already on 4.1 to 4.5. And in 4.3, we're asked to remove constitution and stroke. Yes, please.
Do you want to consider having corporate business members that are non-voting? This is the experience of GEDC. I'm not suggesting you have it, I'm just asking the question. But do you seek also the membership of companies?
Corporate memberships are allowed in GEDC, like Airbus, Boeing, Total. So we can also have it in AEDC. Is it acceptable? Okay. Who is a legal person? Or who has legal to help us draft the language so that we can put it as 4.6? In GEDC, they are called corporate non-voting members. They are members, but they don't vote. Somebody can help us now. There are people who have some legal. Okay. So, 4.6, corporate non-voting members.
Excuse me, sir. On eligibility, I'm of the view that we specify the qualifications that make somebody eligible for membership. The person be a current dean or must have been a dean in the past, something like that.
Current and past dean.
Instead of just leaving it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's also put it there.
Current and past dean.
Current and past deans, because in Africa we have peculiar problems. Before you say somebody is a dean, you hear there is no more a dean. All right, okay. Is that right? So let's specify it.
So can you hear me okay? This is Michael
Yeah,
Logan. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you. I'm not sure if they can hear you over there.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna. I know you can hear me. I was gonna see if they can hear me.
Okay.
Is that the challenge? The audio?
They are test running it, please. So let's not be distracted.
Current and past days.
Yes, please put it there. Current and past days. Okay, let's go to 5 and let's quickly run through it.
Another question. Are you interested, as the GEDC is a category I created 2 years ago, for former deans to be non-voting members, and they pay half of the membership dues? I'm not suggesting you should do it. I'm just asking you, do you want, because many of you said a dean is always a dean. Again, it's your decision, obviously.
The situation we have in Africa is different from US in the sense that many of the universities in Africa, I think apart from South Africa, don't run 5-year tenure. 2 years, 3 years. So if you make it only sitting deans, it's difficult to have continuity. That's the experience we have here. You know, so once you make it sitting deans, it will be difficult. It won't work. It won't work. Okay, so let's move to 5. The Executive Board of Aedc and its functions.
Number 512.
Yes, sir.
512, I think it should be the vice chairs who serve as the sub-regional vice presidents of AEDC.
Okay. The vice chairs.
Who serve.
Remove the S from serve.
As the sub-regional vice presidents of AEDC.
The vice chairs who serve as the sub-regional vice presidents of AEDC. Actually, that's what we have. Vice President East Africa, North Africa, Southern Africa, and Central Africa.
5.3.
Now, drawing from what we were counseled earlier on, I think we should make the president of AEEA as a member of the board. The president of AEEA as a member of the board. Just like I have the president of IFES, a member of the board of GDC. So please, let's include it.
Maybe the last one, 5.18.
Sir?
I say it could be the last one.
Yes.
5.1.8.
Yes, let's make it 5.1.8 or even, let's make it 5.1. Let's make it 5.1.7, while 5.1.7 becomes 5.1.8. Okay. Let's quickly go through 5.2, 5.3, 5.4.
5.3.
Yes.
Says like Koren and like can any member from there or?
No. Koren is a Nigerian agency.
Yeah, there are some. I know we had the AAU, who also a larger body covering a larger set of fields. Will such be there?
What?
I mean, agencies in Africa that have something to do with universities or research.
Yes, Koren is a Nigerian agency.
No, I'm not. I'm just using Koren for instance. I expect that some regional African agencies that are like, well, I don't know now. In my own area, we have MROS, we have international MROS, we have also, and we also have Nigerian MROS. Such bodies are members of the regional ones.
Well, the constitution is not it's not static. As we work and we have the need to be more inclusive, I think we should do that.
May I just again share another experience? And following on your comment, ABET is the only, and I designated a new title, institutional member, not corporate, not a dean. There we have one institutional member, and ABET is that because its objectives is linked to the GEDC. For example, just again, it's just our experience. I'm not suggesting you should do it. I just want to share our experience with you, and that has been a very wise investment.
Okay, I think so that we are not accused of using our geographical location of doing this adoption in Nigeria to just put Koren. Maybe when we get to Guinea, we can do that.
Let's continue with our.
Later we can expand. We can expand. I've been discussing with the president of Koren on African format or platform for regulation, just like Koren is doing. And we have been working seriously on it. But I don't want to, because AEA president is Nigeria, AEDC president is Nigeria, like that. Let's see how we can expand the representation. Yes. Let's hear from.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have two comments. One on 5.1 regarding the membership of the executive board. Since under 5.1.2, we have 5 vice chairpersons or vice presidents.
No, not 5, 4. Wherever you have the president,
okay, 4.
There's no vice from there.
Okay, yeah, 4. I mean, I was thinking of reducing with the number under 5.1.7, the elected members.
Okay.
Because it will be a big board and at times it's difficult to convene and get the quorum. So once you have the 4 vice presidents who are serving the different regions, then you don't need as many members. I would think that we just reduce that one to one elected member. That's my thinking. Then the other one is, sorry to take you back, under 4.4. It says the membership of AEDC is comprised of at least one representative. And I thought the spirit of the membership of AEDC is to bring on board all deans. So it's not just about representation. Here we should be talking about all deans are eligible as long as they are doing engineering.
Okay, sorry. So from each eligible institution, no, I think that's not correct.
Yeah, that's not the spirit.
Because an institution could have more than one dean.
Do you know there are some institutions?
There are some institutions that have, like Ghana now, they have 3 deans.
Yeah, they have 3 deans all handling engineering.
Yes. Sir? Yes. So if we just say institution, one from, no, I think that would be wrong.
Will it be wrong? If we say per institution, the deans, I think, for example, in your university, in my university, we have, in Ghana, they have Faculty of Electrical and Electronics. Is that correct? Now, we have it in my university as a department. We have other departments, 7 departments. Otherwise, depending on the nomenclature, we could have been having more than 1 deans. But in their own case, they have a provost who is qualified to be a member of AEDC. Is it the dean or the provost? What will be the position of the provost?
The provost, if you look at what we say provost, stroke rector, stroke dean.
In my case, I can explain, because if you take one of our faculties like mechanical and chemical engineering, it so happens that the name electrical and computer engineering sometimes exists as a department, but that is not a typical example. We have the faculty of mechanical and chemical that comprises of Department of Mechanical Engineering, Department of Agric Engineering, Department of Materials Engineering, Department of Chemical Engineering. And in chemical engineering, they have 3 programs. In materials engineering, they also have 2 programs. So they are not small. It's not like a unit that could have been a department that we are calling faculty. So I just wanted to clarify that.
So in your university, for example, if
Yeah.
you are going to invite, who is qualified to represent you? Is it all the days? Then what?
No, if you decide that it should be one per institution, then it will have to be the provost. But if it is about all those who are deans and above, then it will have to be the 4.
Yes, let's hear from.
Actually, I would like us to stick to the deans, because very soon in my school, we may have a college of engineering where we'll have one provost, but the provost may not be an engineer, because the college will be comprising of other places that are not engineering. That's what I want to say. If you bring the provost may not be an engineer. We may be linked with, that's my school, we may be linked with architecture, we may be linked with the School of Environment very soon. So if you say the provost of that school, the provost may not be an engineer. So that is why I'm thinking that we should stick to deans. You know.
Okay, we have about 5 minutes to go.
Okay, sir. Then on the 541, but I think it's implicit from what you have said. I was trying to suggest that the president of AEDC should rotate among these zones. But I think it's implicit in what you just said. Now that if the president is from one region, then the vice president will now be from the remaining 4. So, but if it's okay for us to clear
We need to state it.
Sir?
That the region where the president, no vice president shall come from the region
we can say that.
where the president comes from.
You can say that.
So let's please state it. No vice president will come from the region where the president comes from. So, yes, Henry.